Joe Rogan is used to going viral, but he always thought he was too healthy for the virus.
Turns out I got COVID. So we immediately threw the kitchen sink at it. All kinds of meds. Monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, Z-Pack, Prednisone, everything.
Medical professionals are still caught up in a fight between science and dangerous misinformation. That includes the drug ivermectin, which is most often used to deworm pets and livestock.
Now, Joe Rogan already has a condition that he probably got from eating all that wild meat. Let's just call the condition wild rectum. But at least now he won't have worms.
Even the drug company that makes it warns patients not to take it for COVID. Despite that, a judge in Ohio ordered a hospital to administer the drug to a patient in spite of the doctor protesting because the patient's wife demanded it.
That wife should be told to fuck off, and they should both be removed from the hospital. These people should not be let into hospitals. Anyone with this virus who could have gotten the vaccine but did not should not be treated by medical staff that is now walking out of hospitals in protest because they are overworked. Hospitals are filled up, which means innocent people with other diseases or who gets into accidents have to wait for these COVIDiots. I haven't even addressed this. This is insane. The judge cannot order doctors who've taken an oath. The judge cannot order doctors to treat a patient with a drug that has not been approved for it.
Because the patient's wife demanded it. And then there's popular podcaster Joe Rogan, who announced he's tested positive for COVID-19 after doing some shows in Florida. While he's being treated with monoclonal antibodies, which are effective, he also told his millions of followers that he's taking ivermectin.
I just said, I don't think that if you're a young, healthy person, that you need it.
You know, Joe Rogan is one of many, many people that we have heard from, including all these conservative talk radio hosts who downplay the virus, but they've died from COVID. Mark Bernier, Dick Farrell, Phil Valentine.
We hear about them, but I'm not sure the Fox audience does. I'm not sure the people who need to hear the message are hearing it at all anymore.
Yeah. Dick Farrell, the radio host, on his deathbed, texted his longtime friend and advised her to get the vaccine and said he wished that he had.
And this is the missed opportunity for people like Mr. Rogan. He has all of these listeners who have listened to him and who have decided they don't need to be vaccinated.
I had planned to say this even before seeing that clip we just saw. I was thinking 3 days ago that Joe Rogan wouldn't have gotten this virus if the pandemic had ended long ago, as it could have, was predicted to have. Do you realize why the pandemic didn't end back then? Well, the clip we just saw gives a clue. It's because of people like Joe Rogan who were telling the public that a lot of people don't need to get vaccinated. And so here we are now, and the virus is still spreading to a bunch of people and still filling up hospitals.
I just said, I don't think that if you're a young, healthy person, that you need it.
And then he walked back, or?
Yeah, he walked it back, and he said, I'm not a doctor, I'm an effing moron. A few days later, I don't quibble with that.
So, do you call BS? Is that fake news right there? Well, I would have questioned that if I hadn't seen the clip myself just hours before. And this is from months ago when he said this. I wish I'd seen that earlier. Would have been able to take advantage of that. I bet there's some other people out there thinking they wish they had seen it earlier.
I just said, I don't think that if you're a young, healthy person, that you need it. Their argument was, you need it for other people.
So you don't transmit the virus.
That makes more sense. I'm not a doctor. I'm a f***ing moron. And I'm a cage fighting commentator who's a dirty stand-up comedian who just told you I'm drunk most of the time. Listen, I have a deep respect for real journalism. I love Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi and people that stick their fucking neck out and do real journalism. But there's a lot of people out there that have to make a fucking living. And what's the best way to make a living? Well, here's one way. Take a jackass like me. Go over their podcast, go over this 3-hour drunken, ridiculous
They're not selling ivermectin on their website, but what they are selling is a get out of critical thought free card to their audience. If you're trying to appeal to a lizard-brained right-wing audience, telling them, just get the vaccine, you idiot, it's not cheap meds that you need, they're gone. It's scary, I guess, to tell people responsible medical information when audiences can be so flighty around that stuff. He's been doing the show for like how many years? Years and years and years, right? Mm-hmm. And he interviews lots of interesting people, tons of them. So shouldn't that sort of accumulate? Like all the impressions you've gotten, the knowledge, the exposure?
In my opinion, as someone who did listen to his podcast regularly, there used to be a diversity of guests.
Yeah.
And that, for some reason, in recent years, has been thrown out the window.
A lot of times we're drinking or we're high, you know, and I say stupid shit.
Like, it's just, it doesn't, he's not a dumb guy. That's the thing about Rogan. He's not dumb. He's just impressionable.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, he does seem impressionable. It reminds me of some guy that would just believe in the last person he spoke with. But that requires a certain level of dumbness. Just not thinking much.
I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say before I say it. I'm just saying, be real clear. When I say something stupid, I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say before I say it. I'm just saying it, right?
Look, I know that he's not a news person. I know that he doesn't want that responsibility. But I'm sorry, if you have an audience that large, whether you like it or not, there's a responsibility that comes along with it. Period.
Sure.
So, like, just please, if you're going to comment on these kinds of things, please make sure that you're vetting your information.
I've been on a carnivore diet. Just everything's meat. I'm not eating any grains, and I'm not eating any carbs. Nothing else.
People like Joe Rogan who think they just need to eat only meat, maybe this explains why they have certain problems. It just throws off their body's chemistry and their whole digestive tract.
When I feel fart coming on, I'm like, oh, this could be a disaster. I've had rocketing diarrhea.
And I'm talking about explosive diarrhea.
Rocketing diarrhea.
From meat?
From all meat, yeah.
The information is right there at your fingertips. There's no excuse. Stop pushing ivermectin.
Yeah. Have a doctor on.
Hi, guys. Is keto okay for kids to do?
Not
Okay.
a vet.
A real doctor.
Not a vet.
A real doctor.
I'm eating a lot of fat.
It's not the virus that kills you. How can something not alive actually kill you?
This is like saying that people don't die from smoking. It's not the smoke that goes into the lungs that directly kills you.
Bacon with all these wild game dishes, everything I eat bacon with, because I need fat.
Deaths. 20,000.
It's really doing
This
this.
means
25 deaths from the virus. That tells you when this video was put up. This is a new virus that's just about to take off. We know how these virus epidemics work. He's got to know this. He is not a scientist or a medical doctor. He is not an epidemiologist. He's a guy who thinks he knows better than the actual experts.
Is keto okay for kids to do, okay? So the essence of keto really is low carb, okay? Low carb. Now, an average child that's between 1 and 3 years old has 12 teaspoons of sugar, all right? That's a problem.
Giving essentially nutrition consulting, but she doesn't really have a background in it.
So it's been 3 months here on the carnivore diet.
If you want a consultation about anything, I don't care what it is, I can coach you through any kind of diet. I've tried them all. I know how to succeed.
Whether that's on a carnivore path.
What is it with the internet? People just think they can make a quick buck.
So if you want a Skype consult, right now, they're a low $100 price.
So it's been 3 months here on the carnivore diet.
Going in blindly, I mean, you have a hypothesis, and it's like, okay, your hypothesis is all plants are bad.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing.
And it's like, well, that's a hypothesis, but what about all the other things that are potentially happening while you're doing this diet? You're eating less, you're fasting more, your microbiome's changing.
Joe Rogan has done the opposite. Yes, he will probably be fine. He will probably get better.
Probably. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Now, I want to bring up that people don't realize when we see someone like Rogan here who says he's getting better, feeling better. Yeah, that's it. You got to remember that he's taking steroids. And those make you feel like Well, let's say they make you feel like a superhuman.
This is a Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan. This is what is known as a Super Saiyan that has ascended.
He's incredible. And not only survives, but this incredibly powerful courage, bravery, and strength, powerful strength.
If he can make such a miraculous recovery, he must be on God's side. Or it was just the steroids and the special effects. It's now looking like that was just an illusion that they created, and also a cover-up. News recently came out that that former guy was in worse shape than we thought. He was actually close to having to be put on a ventilator. Which brings us back to Joe Rogan. And I'm not just talking about the steroids he's taking for the virus. He has always taken steroids.
Okay, I'm 53. I'm old as fuck. But honestly, it doesn't bother me.
No, because why? Because you're in such a great stride of your life.
Because I'm on fucking steroids. Because I'm juiced up.
Give them to me, bro.
No, I'm on testosterone replacement therapy and every vitamin known to man.
Going in blindly.
Now listen to this. This guy is going to say what is at the root with people not wanting to wear masks even. They're just fighting everything that can help get us out of the pandemic. Why is that?
But he has sent all the wrong signals to date with this kind of contrarianism where, if the government says one thing, he has to do the opposite. That is the rotten core of conservative media right now. There are so many figures in conservative media that are exploiting the lack of social trust their fans have. A lack of trust is at the root of this problem. A lack of trust is what causes vaccine rejection and causes people to take these ridiculous drugs instead. How do we win back trust?
And we should be talking about this. We should just be honest and realize that it's a lack of trust in the government and any official. That's why people would rather hear from a fake doctor than a real doctor. It's why people would make such strange decisions, like taking expensive drugs that weren't designed for this virus. Just like they'll eat the keto diet to lose weight instead of just doing a sensible, normal, healthy thing. It's been proven, but it's been proven and promoted by officials. And we should all be honest, have this honest conversation, that officials in our government have given the public a good reason to distrust them. But that distrust should be like a general distrust, just like you should have general distrust for every person, especially people you don't know on YouTube. But it is human nature to just go overboard. And they've gone overboard with this distrust, like doing the opposite. And another ingredient here is ignorance. When you mix that in, I believe in some conspiracy theories and that there's real conspiracies we can see. When you mix ignorance with conspiracy theories, then you're probably going down the wrong path. Such as, now got people saying that masks can be bad for you because they can reduce the amount of oxygen you get. Well, that's not going to happen because the body's just going to make sure it gets the oxygen it needs, and it'll do that by breathing more. No one's passing out wearing a mask. Masks have been proven. There's countries out there where it's a routine thing. Speaking of going overboard, Alex Jones enters the picture. YouTube banned him finally. 3 strikes. He went through all of his strikes. But he can turn up on other people's videos. This guy's right wing, and so is the channel he showed up on, Joe Rogan. And it's become quite clear that he's just a conservative asshole. He was just playing with the vegan community like we've seen because it was peaking in popularity. It's not anymore. And because the election's coming up, Joe Rogan is no longer hiding his conservativeness. He brings on Alex Jones.
He was saying vegetarian diets give you cancer and kill you because they don't have the fats you need. And your cells basically collapse. And the truth is getting to the people, but new listeners tune in, and it sounds so wild. It's well known that people that eat vegetarian diets culturally are shriveled, are weak, are stupid, and have small CC-sized brains. Everything we told you 2 days ago, and we told you 10 years ago and 20 years ago, new big studies today. We're not making it up, folks.
Yeah, he was. And my video proved that. That was a real easy one. So now, what did Alex Jones just say as he has gotten back on YouTube through Joe Rogan?
How did this laptop become this big story?
When you bring a laptop or anything in, they say, if you don't pay for this.
Listen to him. He's got a similar voice to Dr. Sean Baker, another pro-meat vegan basher.
Supposedly, he dropped it off at a laptop repair shop in Delaware.
What an idiot. I mean, who's doing that?
Well, a crackhead.
Right.
Good point. The guy's smoking crack.
I keep forgetting he smokes crack.
Joe Rogan's about to correct himself there.
Apparently he's kicked it, so congratulations to him.
They're talking about this person named Hunter Biden. Do you know who that is? Don't worry if you don't. He's not even a politician, but he's got a famous name, doesn't he?
They just say anyone promoting this, whether it's the House or Senate committees that we're linking to it, you're now banned, which again shows it's election meddling. It's gatekeeping to cover this up.
No, it is election meddling to spread it around.
Biden's daughters reportedly, and they've not denied it now, this broke 3 days ago, left her diary in a house that she had rented.
What convenient.
The fuck is wrong with this family?
Jump in?
See, then comes Joe Rogan to say what the fuck's wrong with this family, leading the listener to become even more manipulated into just buying into this story being true, when we don't even have evidence for it being true.
And it sounds so wild.
It's overlapping of bullshit. It worked last time. And now to sum things up, here is your moment of laughter therapy. I was watching one of those 80s documentaries, and I found an 8-second clip that sums up the 80s pretty well.
A giant party at Coca-Cola's Atlanta headquarters.
An event was organized that turned downtown Atlanta into a 3-ring circus.
Music, fireworks, special guests, and plenty of free Coke, too.
Yeah, that's about how it was.
And I do testosterone, and I smoke a lot of weed.
New listeners tune in.
But I'm not a respected source of information, even for me.